When we think about teaching, we often imagine explaining, modeling, guiding, correcting. But today, I want to talk about something that, in my view, defines the heartbeat of true teaching: the art of questioning. Because, let's be honest, asking questions is not just a technique, it's a philosophy. It's a way of seeing the learner, of perceiving the world, of opening windows where doors seem closed. When you walk into a classroom, anywhere in the world, you'll find questions flying through the air. What's the meaning of this word? Why is that the answer? Can I use it like this? But among those, only a few questions truly ignite thinking. Only a few lead to reflection, exploration, and growth. And that's what I want to unpack with you today: the difference between asking and questioning. So, sit back comfortably, start drinking your coffee, and let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
Let's start with something foundational. Why do we ask questions in a language classroom? Most teachers would say to check understanding, to get feedback, to test knowledge. But real questioning goes beyond that. It's not only about getting the right answer, it's about eliciting thought, about creating mental friction that leads to language growth. Good questioning transforms a passive classroom into an active, thinking space. It makes students not just repeat, but reason. A simple, "what's this word mean?" is checking knowledge. But a better one would be, "what clues in the sentence help you guess what this word means?" Do you feel the difference? One measures memory, the other stimulates cognition. This is where questioning becomes an art form. It's not what you ask, it's why and how you ask. Now, let's climb the ladder of questioning. At the base, we have lower order questions, the ones that target recall. What's the past tense of go? Or what does this word mean? These are essential, but limit. They build foundations. Higher up, we reach comprehension and application. Why is this tense used here? Or how could you apply this word in your daily routine? Then, we reach the analysis and synthesis level. What if we change the verb tense? How does the meaning change? Or can you rewrite this sentence with a more formal tone? And finally, the top of the ladder: evaluation and creation. Which phrase sounds more natural to you and why? Or can you create a dialogue that shows this emotion using the expressions we learn? Each question elevates thinking. Each one pushes the learner's linguistic and cognitive muscles a little farther. This latter is beautifully mirrored in Bloom's taxonomy, remember? Which many teachers know, of course, but few apply consciously in language teaching. Imagine applying Bloom's model not to content knowledge, but to language practice. It changes everything. Now, let's go deeper into the realm of Socratic questioning. Socrates believed that knowledge begins with doubt. That true understanding is born when a learner questions their own assumptions. In a language classroom, this means moving away from telling students what's right or wrong and instead leading them to discover why something works the way it does. Let me give you an example. Instead of correcting a student who says he go to school every day, you could ask, Why do you think we say go and not goes here? Can you remember another sentence where we use he? Or what do you notice about the verb in that sentence? That's not correction, it's discovery. And when students discover a rule through guided questioning, the retention rate skyrockets. Because now the rule is not yours, it's theirs. The Socratic method in language pedagogy is a bridge between input and awareness, between teaching and autonomy. But here's where most teachers struggle: when to ask questions and how to deliver them. Ask too soon and you interrupt a student's thought process. Ask too late and the moment of learning passes. Timing is a rhythm, almost musical. You feel when the silence is ripe. You sense when the learner's face says, "I'm almost there, just one hint away." That's when you ask the right question, the one that nudges, not pushes. And tone matters too. A question can open or close. A gentle, "What do you think?" invites. A sharp, "Why didn't you answer correctly?" shuts down curiosity instantly. Our voice, our phrasing, even our facial expressions, all of these influence how a student perceives the question. The wrong tone can make a student fear participation. The right tone can make them feel safe enough to take intellectual risk. So, moving on, why don't we just talk about emotion? Because every question carries an emotional charge. When you ask a question, you're not only seeking information, you're shaping an interaction. You're building trust, or you're breaking it. A student's willingness to respond depends as much on how they feel as on what they know. Think about it. If a teacher constantly asks trick questions, students start protecting themselves. They answer cautiously, mechanically. But if a teacher uses open, curious questions, "That's interesting. Why do you think that works?" then students start to think freely. So, questioning is not only cognitive, it's emotional pedagogy. It says, "I value your thoughts. I want to hear your mind at work." And that, my dear colleagues, students, listeners, is what builds authentic communication in a language classroom. And here's something we often overlook. Not all cultures interpret questions the same way. In some cultures, questioning a teacher can seem disrespectful. In others, silence is a form of thought, not disinterest. So, as language educators, we must decode these cultural filters. For instance, in Western classrooms, open debate and questioning authority are often encouraged. But in East Asian or Middle Eastern classrooms, students might avoid speaking up, not because they don't know the answer, but because questioning might be perceived as impolite or presumptuous. In such context, teachers must train questioning as a skill. We have to model curiosity gently. What are your thoughts on this? If you were a teacher, what would you say there? Let's see if there's another possible answer. So, by reframing questioning as collaboration rather than challenge, we create cross-cultural comfort. And that's essential in today's global language classrooms. And let me share one of the most transformative techniques I've ever seen. Wait time. Research shows that teachers, on average, wait less than 1 second after asking a question before moving on? 1 second. But when teachers increased wait time to just 5 seconds, something magical happens. More students participate. Answers become longer and more complex. Confidence grows. Silence is questioning, it's not emptiness. It's incubation, it's the sound of learning taking shape inside the mind. So, next time you ask a question, pause. Let silence breathe. You'll be surprised how much more your students have to say. Now, questioning isn't just for discussion. It's also one of the most powerful formative assessment tools. Each question you ask gives you a window into what your students understand, misunderstand, or are still constructing. You can use questioning to assess vocabulary, grammar, comprehension, cultural nuance, even pronunciation. For example, can you explain the difference between say and tell? Why might someone choose to use a phrasal verb instead of a single word verb here? What emotion do you think this speaker is expressing? Through questioning, you're constantly diagnosing learning. You're not waiting until a test. You are assessing in real time. And one of the goals of modern language education is not just fluency, but critical literacy. That means developing learners who can interpret, question, and challenge meaning. The questions we ask can either train memorization or provoke reflection. Try this. Instead of asking, what is the main idea? Ask, whose perspective is missing in this text? Instead of, what does the author say? Ask, do you agree with the author? Why or why not? This transforms language learning into thought learning. It turns vocabulary and grammar into tools for exploring truth, bias, and perspective. And that's the beauty of questioning. It actually humanizes the language classroom. It makes it about ideas, not just words. Let's flip the lens for a moment. Because if teachers can master questioning, so can students. One of the most empowering things you can do is teach learners how to ask their own questions. Encourage curiosity by modeling inquiry. After reading a text, ask, what question would you ask the author? During conversation, ask, what do you wish you knew more about this? About this topic. You can even use strategy called QFT, which means question formulation technique, where students brainstorm as many questions as possible without judging them. Then they categorize open versus closed, factual versus interpretive. This trains not only curiosity, but metacognition. Students begin to understand how questions shape their own learning. In today's digital world, questioning takes on new dimensions. AI tutors, chatbots, and apps are becoming part of the classroom. But here's the catch. Machines answer. Humans question. So our role as educators is shifting from providing answers to crafting better questions. Because the more technology we integrate, the more we need to teach students how to think critically about what technology gives them. Imagine asking a student, what do you think ChatGPT suggested that translation? Does these AI generated text sound natural to you? Why or why not? What would you change to make it sound more human? Now, we're not competing with AI. We're partnering with it to elevate human thought. At its core, questioning is an act of humility. When we ask, we admit we don't have all the answers. We open ourselves to learning alongside our students. Every great teacher knows this secret. The classroom is not a stage. It's a circle of inquiry. The moment we stop questioning, we stop evolving. And so, questioning becomes more than pedagogy. It becomes philosophy. It reminds us that teaching is not about transmitting information. It's about lighting fires of curiosity that burn long after class ends. Think of the teachers who shaped you the most. They didn't just give you answers. They gave you questions that still echo in your mind years later. That's the legacy of great teaching. So, as you step into your next class, remember this. Every question you ask is a door. Some doors open to memory, some open to meaning, and a few, those rare, beautiful few, open to transformation. Your job is not to fill your students with answers. Your job is to give them the courage to ask their own. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep teaching from curiosity.